All right, I want to share a really powerful story with you today. It's all about perspective, loss, and, well, unexpected salvation. It really gets you thinking about how one single event can be seen as a total catastrophe and, at the very same time, a miraculous rescue signal.
This ancient idea is really at the heart of what we're talking about today. It's this principle that sometimes our greatest misfortunes, they actually contain the seeds of our salvation. And we're about to see this idea come to life in a pretty incredible and harrowing ordeal.
So, our story kicks off in a pretty bleak place. It begins in the aftermath of a terrible disaster at sea, a moment of just profound loss that leaves one person utterly and completely alone.
The storm was just violent. The ship, gone. And the worst part? That gut-wrenching realization that you're the only one who made it. He washes up on this desolate, unknown island with literally nothing but the clothes on his back and the wreckage of his former life. And that first week, man, it was just this slow, crushing spiral into despair. Day 1, you're in shock, right? By day 3, there's maybe a tiny flicker of hope left. You're scanning the horizon, you're waiting. But then a week goes by. And by day 7, that hope is just gone. The reality sinks in. You are truly alone.
But here's the thing about people, right? Even when things are at their absolute worst, that survival instinct is incredibly powerful. He's facing this very real possibility of being stuck there forever, and he knows he's got to do something, anything, to try and build a new life for himself.
So this is his first real act of defiance against that despair. He starts scavenging whatever he can from the shipwreck, and he builds this small, broken tent. And look, it's not much at all, just this flimsy thing to block the wind. But to him, it was everything. It was a home, a refuge, his one and only source of hope. And just as he builds this fragile little world for himself, this tiny glimmer of hope, well, it's about to be completely and utterly destroyed.
It starts with something so simple, so human. The cold starting to bite, and he just wants a little bit of warmth to get through another one of those long, lonely nights by the sea. So he builds a small fire right next to his shelter.
And then bam! Out of nowhere, the very same elements he's been fighting this whole time, they turn against him in an instant. A sudden, really harsh gust of wind just rips across the beach.
And it just goes to show you how fast everything can change. All it took was one little spark, caught by the wind, landing on that makeshift tent, and in a flash, his only refuge, that one symbol of hope, it just goes up in flames. Can you even imagine that feeling? Just completely and utterly abandoned? He's screaming his frustration up at the sky, believing this is it. This is the final, cruel blow. He had nothing, he built something small, and now even that is gone. His despair is just absolute.
But just as he's sitting there, surrounded by the actual ashes of his hope, something miraculous happens. Right there in the total darkness of his despair, a new light appears.
He can't believe his eyes. Way out on the water, there's this tiny, blinking light. It gets bigger and bigger and closer. It's a boat. A boat! After all this time, after losing every single thing, a rescue boat is coming straight for him. So he gets on board, he's finally safe and sound, and of course, the first thing he has to ask his rescuers is the one question that's just burning in his mind. How, in this massive, empty ocean, how did you guys possibly find me? Okay, and this is the whole point of the story. The rescuers just point to the smoke still rising from the shore and say, "We saw the signal from your fire." Think about that. The very event he saw as his ultimate ruin, the fire that destroyed his shelter, was the exact thing that led to his salvation. What he saw as a disaster, they saw as a signal.
And in that one moment of revelation, the whole meaning of his ordeal just completely flips on its head. The absolute worst thing that had ever happened to him was actually the very best thing that could have possibly happened.
He's just overwhelmed, He falls to his knees. And that angry prayer he screamed at the sky just hours before, it comes back to him, but this time as this profound truth. He finally gets it. A great good had been hidden inside what he perceived as a terrible evil.
And right then, with that understanding, this incredible sense of peace just washes over him. It's like this inner voice telling him that he was never truly alone and that even in the absolute darkest moments, there might be a plan at work that we just can't always see. So that really leaves us with a fascinating question to think about, doesn't it?
We all have those fires in our own lives, setbacks, losses, moments that feel like the absolute end. But this story asks us to consider, what if some of those fires aren't disasters at all? What if they're actually signals of hope guiding us toward our own rescue?